Are you looking for a new whiskey adventure? Then climb in and buckle up. Get ready for one hell of a ride on the Whiskey Trip podcast with your host, Big Chief. Join in as he and his guests explore whiskey and dive into whiskey stories from around the world. Now here's your host, Big Chief.
Folks, you know, here on the Whiskey Trip, we celebrate more than just the pour in our glass. We celebrate heritage, tradition, and the stories that make this country what it is. That's why I'm proud to tell you about our friends at the Heritage Flag Company. These aren't just flags, they're handcrafted works of art built from whiskey and bourbon barrels that once held the spirit we all love. Every cut, every nail, every burn mark tells a story of patience and craftsmanship. Just like the whiskey we sip, these flags are bold, timeless, and full of character. Whether you hang one in your home bar, your man cave, or gift it to a veteran or first responder, a heritage flag isn't just decor. It's a statement. It says you believe in freedom, tradition, and the legacy we pass down. So saddle up, whiskey family, and head over to theheritageflag.com. Use code WhiskeyTrip10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Let them know Big Chief sent you. Because just like your favorite pour, the Heritage Flag Company is made to be shared, honored, and remembered. Now let's get on to the show. Hey, it's old Big Chief, and yeah, you're taking another ride on the Whiskey Trip, my friends. And I'm here still in Colorado, another week, another Colorado distillery, and I'm here at State 38. And I got Mr. Jason with me. Jason, what's your role here at State 38?
So my role here is pretty much almost everything. Head distiller. I also work our tasting room. I provide tours to customers that come in. And I am responsible for packaging, bottling, labeling, and sending everything out the door.
Well, first I got to say, thanks for your service, man. It's always great to sit down with a fellow veteran and talk about whiskey. Not too many people get to do that. I seem to attract fellow veterans on my podcast for some reason. You know, maybe it's it's a chief thing. You know, hey, chief says you got to do something, you better get it done.
That's right.
But I can't say thank you enough for having me in and sharing some whiskey with me. And we're going to get into the State 38 story. But first, let's get to this first whiskey because, I'm a little parched. I worked all day and
You do look a little tired.
Yeah. I am a little tired. But so what's in this first pour?
All right. So this first pour over here, it's our wheat whiskey. It's a blend, our mash bill. All of our whiskeys are 4 grain. The peated we'll get into later. That's a little bit different, but it's 4 grain. So 70% wheat, 15% corn, 10% rye, 5% barley. So it is not a wheated bourbon. It is a wheat whiskey. On all of our whiskeys, with the exception of the peated, and we'll get into that, are 90 proof. Our peated is 80. So that's what you got. And we try to keep our whiskeys between 4 to 6 years of age. This wheat whiskey is about a 5.5.
The nose on it, very flowery, very floral, like you're walking into a flower shop, you're buying your wife roses. Bunch of caramel, like this burnt caramel, almost not burnt, but it's that toffee.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It is beautiful. I always say it doesn't have, what was the mash bill on this again?
So 70% wheat, 15% corn, 10%. Sorry, I think I said rye earlier. It's 10% wheat, and no, sorry, it is 10% rye. So I just got done doing a farmer's market the past weekend, so I've said this a lot of times about everything. So no, 70% wheat, 15% corn, 10% rye, 5% barley.
Maybe it's almost like this kettle corn with that, they put that sugar on there and stuff.
And the way we do things here too, when you have people try whiskeys that they're not normally accustomed to, is we listen to what people talk about as far as what they're smelling, just as you're doing there, Big Chief, and the flavors that you get, because everybody always says something different. And then what comes together in the end is that same flavor profile that they want to taste.
Well, I say cheers to you, Slancha. That's a beautiful wheat whiskey. It's got a little bit of bite to it.
There's even a little earthiness to it.
Little earthiness. I would almost say this is almost a Texas whiskey. It confuses me a little bit in my mind of what I'm sipping on here. And as we're talking about State 38, I'll sip on a little more. And before we switch over whiskeys, I'll give you some tasting notes. So how did State 38, I'm assuming that Colorado's a 38th state, and here we are in the Rocky Mountains, really the foothills. Me and my wife were talking about that. But is that what they call it? The front range of the Rockies?
Front range foothills. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're still a mile up. Cause I'm sucking air. I'm a big old guy, and just running around here it can be a little strenuous on me.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, my mother just got in town a couple of days ago, and first day that she was here, she was having a little bit of a rough way to go.
So how did State 38 get started?
So it started off, our original founder is named Sean Smiley. We started off actually making our agave spirits first. So this is our whiskey line right here, but almost 14 years ago now, we started making agave spirits, so Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. It is 100% Blue Weber agave, no additives added to it, but 100% from Jalisco, distilled here, and barreled and aged here as well. That's how we got started. During that process, the whiskey lineup came around because the agave spirits take less time to be ready for public sale. So that gave us our whiskey time to lay down and be in the barrels, as you see behind us. And then we have another line called Damn Smooth, which is vodka, peach vodka that's made with real peach, gin, absinthe, and then another blended whiskey as well. And those came about 6-7 years ago, just to kind of add to a lineup. But that's kind of the story of the product development, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I've heard lore of your agave spirits here. That
we were one of the first to make agave here.
Do you guys still make some of it?
Absolutely.
Man, well, I ain't drinking that, because I heard it's aged in bourbon barrels.
It's our bourbon barrels.
Yeah. Maybe on the second half we'll have a little.
There you go.
Little. What do they call it? Toot of it.
Yeah.
A little toot.
Yeah, we can switch the lineup.
Well, maybe we'll finish up with that right there. What a beautiful whiskey. So how did you, we talked about State 38. How did you get into distilling?
So growing up in Southern Indiana, long time ago,
let me guess, you're from Clarksville.
Yes. Yes, I am. But I had known other home distillers / moonshiners, and I thought it was really neat. Joined the military, did my time. I did 15 years. And during my time when I ended up in San Diego, I linked up with other craft distillers that were there, and just started doing some apprentice work and really getting into the craft side of making whiskey. And I just fell in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since. I had my own distillery in San Diego before I teamed up with State 38. And it's always been just a passion of mine.
What was that distillery called?
It was called Copper Collar Distillery. I was a Navy diver in my former life, and copper collars, if you've seen the old movie Men of Honor, it's the copper helmets that was on our bottles.
Copper spun, I guess, is what they call that.
The old dive helmets.
Yeah. They're like, they have to spin the copper to make those helmets.
I believe so.
They're not like hammered out and welded.
No. And obviously I didn't dive with those either too. We had the fancy needles. So.
You never got to put one of those on?
Oh, of course I did.
Did you ever get to go to the bar where you have to stand there and see how long you hold?
No, because that was not. So dive school for the Navy is in Panama City Beach, Florida. And at that time, I think it was in like New Jersey, or it was up northeast.
Yeah. Well, funny story about that is that dive school, and I actually got to go down there, and and pick up Army divers and
Oh, yeah.
their equipment. The Army's got a big dive program, and I was a watercraft operator in the Army before I switched over to the Coast Guard. And so our boats would haul around Army dive equipment all around the Caribbean.
Mm.
Horrible job to have, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have some of my buddies who are EOD techs. Oh, you guys are training in Key West again? All right.
Yeah, what an amazing life that is,
Yeah.
to serve your country and get to do some stuff you love. And
Well,
I'm sure. Now, what is a diver? And you were in the Navy. I'm sure you got to drink a little hooch. Do you remember your first whiskey, or was that back in old Clarksville?
So I'll tell you a good story. So when the tsunami hit Japan back in 2011, my team was up there doing all the salvage work that was up there. Now, we weren't allowed to leave the ship, and I ended up having my 30th birthday party aboard the ship. And it was a civilian-run boat, but we were the only military attachment that was on it.
Yeah.
And the engineman, one of the guys that worked in it, and he said, "It's your birthday today?" Old guy, looked like he weighed about 75 pounds soaking wet. And he's like, "It's your birthday?" I was like, "Yeah." "You cannot have nothing." And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, "I'll be right back." And he goes down into the engine spaces, and he brings up a bottle of Granddad whiskey. Still had the $5 price tag on it.
God dang.
Yeah. And we were on board that ship. We didn't leave it for 30 days, and we were doing dive ops every day. But every night, everybody would gather around my rack, and we'd do a shot of old Granddad whiskey.
Do you remember the name of that ship?
Yes. I've ended up helping the decommissioning of the ship before it turned into it was USS Safeguard.
Okay.
And then after that, it became the oh gosh, dang, USNS Safeguard.
Now, what kind of ship was that?
So it was a salvage ship.
Okay.
So, and it was, man, dude.
I was wondering, because we got a couple of ships down in Texas that are
so
US, they're MSC ships.
Yeah,
they are.
Yes, and this is kind of what this was, so it was an ARS 50 class. And there was other ones that had come before that were a little bit smaller, but they were basically, they were just salvage vessels. They had a boom on the back, towing capabilities, deep beaching capabilities.
I was wondering if it was, they made these catamarans, and the Army and the Navy did a joint project with Australia, and they actually built these catamarans, big aluminum, they're aluminum ships, and it was made for rapid deployment of like a battalion of Marines or battalion of Army soldiers and stuff. And there's some of those moored up in Southeast Texas. Actually, there's 3 of them there right now, but they're still commissioned right now. They're just laid up there, which is kind of cool, that I got to sell one of the first ones back from Australia in this joint venture, JSV vessel, I think is what it was called. And it is the craziest thing to go back on those 20 something years later and get to check those out. So what's in our second glass here?
Second glass is going to be our bourbon, which is our best seller here.
Well, before we get into that, let me tell you some tasting notes on that. That it still has some youthfulness to it, but that caramely I'm looking for, but very floral forward, as I said, in the nose. And I love when the nose matches the palate. I think that's a great cocktail whiskey right there.
Well, what I will tell you is when I always encourage people to try that first when if we're doing farmers markets, because a lot of people get confused with wheated whiskeys versus wheated bourbons.
Yeah.
So, and it is a little different because wheat whiskey tends to also have a drier mouthfeel because there's not a lot of oils in wheat grain. So when you sip on it, it's almost kind of like,
it's like a dry red wine.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. But when people because I get a lot of people say, well, what's your sweetest? Now I have a different opinion on that. But when people ask me those questions, I kind of try to digress to, well, if we're going to march down this timeline here, then we'll start with the wheat whiskey because it is a little softer and lighter.
Yeah. And I want to remind listeners, you can see we're inside the distillery right here. We are recording inside here. So you might hear a little buzzing from the power source that's coming in here to the still. And I just wanted to give everybody those facts right there that, hey, we're in this is a working distillery. You make whiskey, you make spirits here.
Yep.
This ain't no contract distilling stuff. You're making a whiskey here. You're sweating.
Yep.
It gets warm inside here. I imagine that.
Oh yes. In a couple months, it's gonna be great.
You'll be here cooking. So what's in the second glass? You said the bourbon.
All right. So this is the bourbon. So you'll notice it's a typical trend with the mash bills, again, under the 4 grain. So this one is 70% corn, 15% wheat, 10% rye, 5% barley.
Oh man, the nose on this.
And I will tell you, and I want to ruin it for you, but this goes great with anything chocolate.
Well, I was going to say this has a little chocolate, in it, in the nose. I'm getting these those raisinets, the chocolate covered raisins. That's what I'm getting on this right here. I'm hoping that tastes like that too. Just kind of melted your mouth.
Well, and I should have told you this earlier too. Always, whenever you drink a whiskey, don't ever let anybody try to tell you what you should be tasting. What you taste, what you smell is your palate, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And if you like it, great. And if you don't, because our big thing here is we always say, drink what you like. That wasn't to go against anything that you were saying right there.
No, my palate's my palate, and a lot of people are like, you don't taste that. Well, how do you know what I'm tasting?
Right.
I was about to say something really horrible. I'm going to say it. If you've ever touched your tongue to a battery, only you know that experience. Nobody else knows that taste of that. And it's the same thing with everybody's palate on the face of the earth is different. I grew up eating cereals and chocolate and, I was a sweet tooth kid. My mom used to bring home these donuts from, like a bag of donuts, not no little bag of donuts. I mean, these 2-day-old donuts.
That's when they're the cheapest. They're still good.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I wasn't complaining. We didn't know any better. So if you don't know any better, then you just do it, right?
Yeah.
That's why kids drink Mountain Dew, because they don't know it's going to rot their teeth out. Don't drink Mountain Dew.
But the funny part is that you say that, but I guarantee, I don't know about what your audience group is, but I'm sure most of them would agree that the youth of today wouldn't even know what licking a battery means.
You probably not. They're sticking Tide Pods in their mouth.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff like that. Well, cheers to you. Oh man, that's nice right there. Not too much spice on it. Just the right amount of sweetness to me. I got that chocolatey. I still get that raisin on there. A little bit of like vanilla bean.
Mm-hmm.
I seen this guy the other day on TikTok, making his own vanilla bean extract.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes it with vodka, and he's showing you how you can stretch, how much you can make out of like 4 vanilla beans.
Okay.
With vodka, and you gotta age it. It's got to sit there for a while.
Okay.
Very interesting. But I get that vanilla extract on here a little bit.
Next, like the way we char the barrels is what lends to like the vanilla flavor profiles at the back end.
Yeah.
So we do our barrels at a char level 1 with a medium toast, and that is where you tend to get more of those vanilla flavor profiles. We in the beginning had charred them a little more, but because our environment up here is drier, it was kind of making it too overly oak flavored. So we went with lighter char and toast.
Now we're up here in the Rockies, right? And a lot of the listeners know from the last few episodes that you lose a lot of water here and gain alcohol proof as you go in, from when you go into the barrel to when you come out. What do you guys go into the barrel at here?
So we put them in at about 115 to 125.
Wow.
115 is more where we started to land because as for the age that we have put our whiskeys down, like we got barrels that are coming out here, they're 138, when we pull them out the barrel. So we get a lot of, if you guys know angel shares, we get a lot of angel shares. So you might see all these barrels back here, but for as old as some of those are, we're looking at like 30% loss in some of those. Now you get it back obviously when you proof it down.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about Colorado, and I would call this West Coast whiskey. Growing up in the southern Indiana area, I was never a big fan of bourbon or whiskey until I got out to the West Coast and started doing apprenticeship work and seeing how those guys were making whiskey. And I enjoyed the flavor profile so much. And what was happening was that there's so much that's going on in the barrels that's inconsistent with, like, if you go in the Midwest, it's always pretty much the same thing. And it would really change the flavor dynamics of the whiskeys. And that's what I really enjoyed learning how to make.
The dry air up here, it I can see what it's doing, right? It's sucking all the moisture, the H2O out of the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same thing it's doing to my body. I'm having to have Miss Viv lather me up with a lotion every day while we're here because I'm flaky.
Just don't ask
you
me
could
to do that.
I could rub my skin. You could get cornflakes off of me. It's dry up here, folks. So what a beautiful whiskey this is, though.
Well, so it's great actually to where your camera's looking at. I just laid these down. This is our peated whiskey, which I'll talk to about later, but laid this down in October. But even now, these are brand new barrels. Well, not brand new. We put our peated whiskey in our bourbon barrels, and I'll talk about that. But even now, tasting this, it's probably levels down to about here.
I mean, that's just amazing to me. And you're not refilling it, right?
No.
Like the French style.
No.
Where you keep putting more back in there, putting more back in there, put more back in there and stuff. Now, so how many barrels are you guys laying down here like a year or even a week?
So in a week, that's not a real number for us. And because we have so many laid down and, as whiskey connoisseurs may know, this industry right now is taking
it's in a downturn,
a big downturn.
Yeah.
So we are not in an emergent status to where we need to start laying barrels down as frequently as we used to. But that's okay. That's why we have our Damn Smooth line and our Agave Spirits line. I would say that we're putting down, we'll just say 2 barrels a month, but we have so many others up here that we're ready to empty. And then we have our back stock and everything like that. So.
Well, I mean, that's nice that you can pace it out right now. And you guys are not a large distillery. You don't have, is this all your barrels right here?
Yep.
So not that many barrels. There might be 50 barrels inside here. If I'm just taking a guess.
No, you're 100% correct, actually. I think it's like 48 right now.
Yeah. And I didn't count the barrels before we started. I was in here hustling, trying to set up the podcast because congratulations, you got a kid graduating from high school tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
By the time this comes out, he'll be graduated, which is probably a proud dad moment.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And he wants to go to electrician trade school. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. I mean, he's a very like hands-on kind of guy. So,
well, I was just
did try to get him to go in the military, but he wasn't ready for that yet. So
I tried to. We had a discussion about this the other day that America has been in a brainwashed state of everybody needs to go to college. Everybody needs to go to college. Everybody needs to go to college to get a degree, and it almost shames kids when they're coming out of school that don't want to go to college or they're not ready for college, right? And
I would say that more of what we have lost is that we have told our youth that there is no honor in working with your hands.
Yeah, and in the trade schools, when I grew up, there was something about pride about being a welder and doing those professions where today people complain about how much a plumber makes or how much a welder makes. Oh, I got to pay that much. You mean you want to frame my house up? You want me to pay you how much?
Do you know how to do it? Right.
That's right.
And that's why. And
well, you didn't go to college, but I got all this knowledge right here. I think that's a funny thing, and we're getting back to that, to where there's trade schools, and schools have started having trades inside of them and stuff, and we realize there's a shortage of people that are blue collar workers.
And I 100% agree with you. And then just to add to that, we need to get out of that mindset of that. If that's the job that you want to do because you like doing it, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with being a mechanic. That doesn't make you a not intelligent person. It's just, now you get to do like what we're doing here, making whiskey, right? It's a hobby that you can make money at. And guess what? It doesn't bleed all that 4 years of college debt that most people don't even need after they get out of college anyway.
Yeah. And I'm not saying people don't need to go to college. There's professions.
Well, no, 100%.
I want a doctor to go to college. If he's cut me open, I want him to go to college.
Don's son, he's an orthopedic surgeon. I want him to go to college. 100%.
And, I don't know. I was going to say lawyers, but I think ChatGPT is going to do away lawyers. Pretty positive.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting idea.
I've actually had a lawyer say that to me.
Okay.
And said, you could use ChatGPT, or you're still going to need a person to, I think, to defend you, unless you guys bring your ChatGPT into court and be like, "Hey, listen to, we'll see what they're saying," and I object. ChatGPT says object to that.
Well, there was a comedian, I can't remember his name, and I wouldn't be able to say it anyway, but like he had made a comment. It's like, hey, if I figure out what my diagnosis is based upon doing like Chat GPT or whatnot, does that mean I don't have to do the copay thing? Like if I nail it before you, is that,
that's a good, that's a good analogy right there. But it just, and I almost fear that we've gotten to that point in whiskey to where, these universities figured out real fast that, hey, we can make a distilling program, and we can have these people that are getting degrees in distilling now from these universities, the University of Kentucky, University of Louisville. Everybody seems like they're having one, but I think I would rather have whiskey come from a person that started at the bottom, like old Jimmy Russell went to college, but, he still started from the bottom.
So here's how I kind of look at it. And anybody who disagrees with me, that's perfectly fine, because I've grown up in this industry, a different style. But one of the things that we have experienced in trying to find distillers is a different terminology nowadays. So you have people that go into the distilling world, and what they learn how to do is run equipment and push buttons, and everything is automated depending upon how the size of the distillery is. Everybody has all this, and so they're not actually distillers and haven't learned the art craft of fermentation, distillation, and then making the appropriate cuts off the still, because the still does it, or the equipment does it for you. We're losing people who have run stills to make cuts for good whiskeys, or even clear spirits as well. It's automated, which is great. Trust me, I'm not knocking that at all.
I've had some whiskey from like an ice still, and it's like a bread machine, right?
Yeah. So and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but where I start to kind of shift my attitude is when, okay, well, we need to start kind of figure out, like, well, are you a distiller or are you just a machine operator? And I think that distillers and machine operators, that's like, we need more of those distillers, if anything, because that's how you're going to continue to make good whiskey. I mean, once you dial in on a flavor profile, then you can go.
Well, to me, it's even more than that. For like a master distiller, could you hold grain in your hand before it's even milled, right? Before it's even ground? Could you look at that grain, smell it,
right,
and feel it,
in your hand.
Yeah. Do you know that it doesn't have enough moisture in it? Has it spoiled?
Yeah.
You know, I know a distillery that took spoiled grain and made whiskey out of it, and they didn't realize it until it was too late.
Right.
Um,
Although, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the past, is that you could also turn some of that into pretty good tasting whiskey, or you might create something new.
something new,
That,
yeah.
you know, got a couple projects on the wall here that didn't turn out the way we thought it would be. But we are trying different techniques to age it to see if it will actually make something that's, fantastic. And we've had a couple that have been one-offs that we didn't think were going to go well, and they ended up being one of our top sellers. These are like single barrel releases, mind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what a great first half. I'm trying to stick to a timeline today. So
sorry.
this man can get to bed to celebrate his son's graduation. But we're up against the first half, people. You stick with us. As you can see, we got this bottle of bourbon right here, and one of their beautiful Kinsey glasses right here is a giveaway. On the second half, we'll do that giveaway. We're going to drink 2 more whiskeys, a rye and a peated whiskey.
Oh yeah, Peat Smoked Whiskey, and I'll go into details on that one. That's it's a unique story. So,
well, listeners, you stick with us, and we'll be right back. The Whiskey Trip is proudly sponsored by Guardian Coins, a veteran, family-owned and operated company that understand what it truly means to honor service, story, and tradition. Guardian Coins just doesn't make the challenge coins. They craft symbols of pride, legacy, and camaraderie. From military units and first responders to distilleries, brands, and special events, every coin is designed with purpose and built to last. Here at the Whiskey Trip, our official Whiskey Trip Challenge coin was brought to life by Guardian Coins, and it represents exactly what this ride is all about. Craftsmanship, community, and sharing a great pour with amazing people. From custom artwork to flawless finishes, Guardian Coins works with you one-on-one to turn your vision into something tangible, something you can hold, collect, and pass down. So if you're looking to create a coin that tells your story, whether it's from your unit, your brand, or your next big milestone, trust the folks who know how much that story matters. Visit Guardian Coins on Facebook and tell them Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip sent you. Now pour something good and let's get back to the ride. All right, listeners, we're back here for the second half with State 38 Distillery here, and we're outside of Denver. What city are we in?
So we are in Golden, Colorado.
In Golden, Colorado. Now, Golden is they're famous for this beer that I love to drink.
Yeah, it's a small craft
brewery.
Yeah. Coors, I think, is the name of it.
I like that, not the Silver Bull. I like the Banquet.
I'll tell you what, if you want Coors, you go there and you have it on their ice cold tap. Boy, it'll change your life.
We have some friends here, and they used to work at Coors, and they took us up to the private, because there's a bar up there for the employees, and they got all these different beers on tap.
I've been up to that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And when we have people come and ask us at the distillery, like, so what do you guys, what water are you using to make your whiskeys with and everything like that? It's like, well, we're fortunate enough that there is a small brewery down the road, Coors. They have put a lot of time into making sure the water that we get out of the tap here is a very high quality, which makes fermentation for us very easy.
Now, before we start this second half of this whiskey right here, I do got to ask you, would it be possible, right, to take Coors Banquet beer and then distill it and make a whiskey out of it?
100%.
Has anybody done it? I guess it would be expensive, right?
So that I don't know the answer to, but if I could tell you a really quick story, is there's a laboratory down the road about 5 minutes from here, and they make yeast for brewers, so they cultivate their own yeast. Did a collaboration with them where the stuff that they were pouring down the drain is after they pull the yeast, their active yeast strains out of it. It's about 5% alcohol by volume, and they said, "Do you want it? And then you want to distill it?" I said, "Sure, why not?" And we made this single malt whiskey out of their yeast growing cultures.
Wow.
And I tell you, when you taste it, and it's it would be considered a single malt, and it is fantastic. I don't have it for you right now because it's still sitting in a barrel, but it was absolutely delicious. And in my, as I was growing up in the fermentation and distillation world, and I would teach people about what, we would always start with beer that's already done. So,
I mean, I know David Coors is big into whiskey, right? They got their own, couple of their own brands. I think it's Five Trails and Bardsman or something like that. And I would love, David Coors, if you're watching, I'd love to see you make a beer or a whiskey out of Coors Banquet beer.
I would too. I would love, because I mean,
he's the man that could get it done.
Sure.
Maybe, if you need a distiller, just let me know. I might know a few. You can probably know a few too, but that was just a question.
Yeah, no,
off topic there.
Yeah, no,
we're in Golden,
and I hope I didn't ramble too much on.
No, we're in Golden, Colorado, and hey, that's what people do here is drink Coors beer and drink whiskey. So what's this whiskey in our glass right
Okay,
here?
sorry, this is our rye whiskey right here. One of my personal favorites of what I make. So 70% rye, 15% corn, 10% wheat, 5% barley on this. So this is one of my personal favorites.
Say that again, that mash bill.
So maybe I said 70% rye, 15% corn, 10% wheat, 5% rye.
So your bourbon, your wheat whiskey, your bourbon, and your rye whiskey is all
4 grain.
4 grain.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's got that. Not really that 90. It's not a 95.5, so you're not going to have that licorice.
So here's what's nice about this.
It's got a different nose.
It is. And for people who aren't big fans of rye whiskey, this is a good step into the realm of that.
I always say whorehound candy. I get a little bit of that whorehound in this. And usually I get those with the rye whiskeys. But
and I really want your honest opinion on this.
Cheers.
It's one of my favorites to make.
Man, that's a pretty damn good whiskey right there.
Yeah.
I would say this is your sweetest one so far too.
It is. And I agree with that statement. It's just that rye spice that gets some people where it just doesn't, they just don't like it. Right.
I don't think it has a whole bunch of spice. Well, but I also am not the typical whiskey drinker.
Correct. Yes.
I'm a man that can sit down and a couple episodes ago drank 4 hazmat whiskeys on a show and didn't bother me at all. When the guest would only drink 1 whiskey, I drank all 4 of mine. And
yeah,
he said, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm good." And, hey,
well, going back to the bourbon, I just made a couple batches of that. And then I would give tours to the guests, and the still was still running, and just coming off the still about 155 proof, whatever. I was like, "Trust." It's like, "Woo, that got some bite to it." I'm like, "Man, I love it when it's high proof." Like the wheat whiskey to me is so good at high proof.
Now you guys got this little sticker on your bottle right here. This Colorado, made in Golden, Colorado. Are all the grains from Colorado?
Yes, they are. With the exception of what's in the peated whiskey, which that's a little bit
sure, that would be understandable. But you guys are proud of that.
We are
here on the Front Range that in Colorado.
And if it's okay to give a shout out to the guys that we get our grain from. So Root Shoot, we get all of our grains from them. They're a fantastic company to work for. They are I think it's like a 5-generation family farm. Their grains are fantastic. Not only that, in a world today where it's hard to find good customer service, they are phenomenal. They also make their own line of whiskeys as well, which are absolutely wonderful. I keep all of them on my bar. But just a great company to work with, and I wouldn't work with anybody else.
I think Root Shoot needs to take a little whiskey trip. Maybe we can set that up because now I know a man that knows a man.
Yeah.
I know a whole lot of men and women in whiskey, but that's how I make my connections. And
I may have some of their whiskey here anyway. Yeah. Because they have supported us anytime I've needed like a hey, I got to make this really quick. Can you help me out? They've always been there. Not only have they always fulfilled the order, but they always have a rep to come in and make sure everything, like, if it's everything great, this and that. They're just a fantastic company to work for. So 100% support Root Shoot.
I love that. Well, while we're on that topic, is there a distiller out there or distillers that have, I always like to say rising tides raise all ships. That's a sailor thing, right?
I think I've heard that before.
A couple of times probably. But is there some distillers out there that have raised you up and helped you, and you could reach still out to them and say, hey, I got a question, or with free advice?
All the time. All the time.
You want to give a couple of them a shout out?
Well,
you're going to get emotional on me here. I can feel it coming.
Yes, I can.
It's good. I love that.
Oh, no, yeah.
It doesn't get no more honest than that. And somebody has touched your life like that, and you think of them, and they're like, man, they've raised me up and helped me out. And even in my darkest times, because you're very honest about, hey, my distillery didn't work the way I thought it would, right? And I had to, in life,
switch gears.
Sometimes you got to switch gears. And a lot of people don't know this about me. When I was in the Army, I was homeless for a little bit.
Okay.
Lived in the car, and I took showers on base, and I was in a rough patch. And I had too much pride then to ask and reach out for help and stuff. And
that's one of our biggest downfalls, I think.
It's human nature, right? And you want to help yourself out and stuff. But I learned a lot of lessons from that, and I learned who my true friends in life were. And I had a friend that found out that, and he was like, I don't have much. I don't have a place for you a room for you, but I got a couch and you can stay with me. And then, I kind of got myself situated and found a roommate to live with. And then I met my wife and Miss Viv, and life's been great since then. She's lifted me up. I found out who my real friends were real fast though, in life. But who are some of them?
Let me give you that quick. So first and foremost, Ray DiGilio from Ether Ingredients, who I work with now as well, who helped me in my apprenticing years as a distiller and building a distillery in San Diego. And now we have the opportunity to work together again. Trent from San Diego Distillery, some of the best whiskeys that I've ever had from him. Jeff from Seven Caves. I've had a little bit of time working with, oh gosh, I just left me off. The Ballast Point guys that made a whiskey liquor business. Oh, they make the canned cocktails now.
I had
it
that.
Doesn't matter.
I had that last night when I was talking about I couldn't think of this bar in in Germantown in Louisville, and I was like, man, what is that?
I was like, Bardstown. Oh,
what is that bar called? What is that bar called? Because it's just and it's called the Black Pearl, and it's just a famous little bar that a hole in the wall that has people wouldn't know how much whiskey's upstairs, sitting around and stuff. And then there's a velvet Hank Williams Jr. painting that I swear, I was like, I don't know where they got that thing from, but I'd love to have it. I don't know if my wife would let me hang it up in the house, but I love me some Hank. And
here's what you do: hang it up and then ask for forgiveness later. I don't know. but just names are escaping me, but those are there's more people than that I can't remember at the moment, because otherwise we'd be lost in this podcast. But there's all my brothers that taught me distilling in San Diego that helped me go down this career and become the distiller that I am. So if you do get a chance to see this, thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I love to give people an opportunity to shout out people that have helped them and raise them up. And not everybody gets that opportunity. Not everybody has friends like that. Sometimes you got to go out on your own. But what's one mistake that if you could go back and you knew now, what's one mistake you made in distilling as a distiller that you wish you would have known about?
Oh man, that's a good question. Because
Don't tell me you haven't made no more damn mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
I'll tell you, this is going to be, if it needs more explanation, or it may not even need that, but it's thinking that, oh my gosh, I figured this out. I make really good alcohol. I'm going to be a millionaire. Everybody's going to want to buy my product, and it doesn't happen that way.
No, they don't. Well, I mean, hey, you got to be honest with yourself. Right?
But what I did do correctly was I self-funded myself so that I didn't put myself in a bind, and I was able to do things at my own pace that wasn't stressful enough to where I didn't have to try to figure out how to do things really fast to try to make money, because I was still working for the government and whatnot. As far as no, I'd say that's probably the best answer that I could get, because I was never a guy who, once he started to learn, felt like I got this figured out. I always tried to listen to anybody who gave me tips on how to make things better, because all of our palates are different, like we've talked about earlier. So I was always ready to learn.
I mean, I'm always learning. I'm here in Colorado for, and everybody's probably wondering what's a Coast Guard guy doing in Colorado at a federal training center. But there's something
something I could say.
I'm here drinking whiskey, but even this week, I learned some new stuff, and some of the stuff I'm doing is very humbling to look at and really dive into. But even with the whiskey, I still, I sat down with Patrick Miller last night from Talnua. And that joker, dude,
good guy.
His brain, he kind of opened up on me, and I was just sitting there like, God dang, I didn't know that. Why don't I know that?
Well, and because I started off with a smaller distillery and kind of learned as I grew up in the ranks with other people, I could say like the simple things, which they don't register in my mind, like, oh, I burnt this mash, or I screwed up this fermentation, but I've been doing it for so long now, like I don't even think about that. It seems small to me, if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
But not in an arrogant way at all. It's just like, but when I made those mistakes, I was always able to call on the people that I've just mentioned, like, hey man, what did I screw up over here? And they always helped me out. And so like, I never, there's not to sound too cliche, there's not a day that goes by that I don't thank the people that always helped me going through this, because especially as the craft distilling world started to grow, we were all doing this kind of together.
Yeah.
And we all kind of helped each other out,
Well, let's shift gears a little bit and get back to distilling.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of still do you guys run here?
So we have a steam boiler. It's 250 gallon still. It's a steam jacketed boiler. It's a 10-inch column, and it's 6 plates. So it's a column reflux still. So which that means it could be run as a pot still, or if you don't know what reflux is, that's where at the top of the still is a condenser where you can run cold water through, and it works as like a condenser, and it keeps the alcohol vapors in the column for as long as you want. The longer it stays in there, the higher the proof goes. So if you want to make vodka, that's how you would do that. So it's more of like, I always call it like a hybrid still. So it does both.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I look at it, that's what I know it is a hybrid still, right? And I gotta say, hopefully I don't hurt you. It's not the prettiest still I've ever seen in my life. But I've seen uglier ones.
Well, here's the thing.
But this thing has got some wear and tear on it. I see.
So it was an old milk fermentation vessel, I think. And I don't know this 100% for sure, so don't quote me, but I've heard Sean, the original founder, talk about it, because when he's here, he'll like do tours for people too. He's a great guy. But he's talking about like how this got given to him because it like washed up on the shore somewhere. It's, after Hurricane Katrina. So, but it and I don't disagree with you. It's not the prettiest. Well, especially for you coming from Talanoa yesterday, their facility is freaking beautiful, man.
They do have some beautiful stills. But I see this thing. This is like the old tractor on a farm, right? And that's the way I look at it. That a guy could have a brand new $2 million, $3 million John Deere tractor, right? And if he goes in and tries to work on it by himself because he doesn't own the software to work on that tractor, and this is a whole nother podcast I could do on just this right here. John Deere will shut his tractor off, even though he paid the money for it. He paid his life savings for this tractor, and he can't use it because they own the software of the tractor. But then he's like, you know what? Take your tractor back. I've got this old 1968 Massey Ferguson out there, and guess what? It don't have no software. I turn the key, it starts up, it runs. I put some diesel in it, I put some oil in it, and I'll plow my field. That's what this still is right here, right? And I'm trying to say that you don't have to have a sexy still to make beautiful whiskey. And I'll tell you, this whiskey right here is absolutely, I sucked the sucker down. It's got some legs. If I'm going to take it home a bottle, listeners,
so far it's the right.
This is it right here for me. It hit home. It's got sexy legs on it, like my wife, and it's a beautiful whiskey. It doesn't pack a punch. What's the proof on this right here?
90 proof.
90 proof.
Yeah.
I would have said this was 100 proof right here.
It does have a little bit of a bite to it.
I would like to try this at cast strength. That would be.
Don't threaten me with a good time because I love cast strength.
That'd be right up my alley. But I love this right here. I think this is a nice, beautiful sipper. Very cooling to the palate, like a mint for me. It has a little bit of that on there, but it also still has that bourbon-esque flavors to it, to me. The sweetness, the chocolate, the caramel that I'm looking for, that no-bake cookie that I'm always talking about.
And I will tell you that for a lot of our regular customers that come in here, one of the first things when they walk through that door in there, they're asking for the rye Sazerac.
That's what they call. Oh, you're making a Sazerac.
Yeah. But that's everybody's that or rye old fashioned but smoked.
Well, we're coming up to our last whiskey here, and this is your peated whiskey. You guys are where you're getting your peat from.
This is what the fun story is all about right here. Okay, so all of our whiskeys 90 proof. We treat our peated whiskey at 80 proof, and I don't know if you'll be able to notice this. We get all of our grains from Colorado, like I said earlier, from Root Shoot, shout out. But we get our peated barley from Scotland. It's the only grain we don't get from Colorado.
Really, you're shipping that in from Scotland.
Mm-hmm. And because of that, that's why this bottle here is the only one that has whiskey without the E in it.
Okay.
And it's our way to pay tribute. So it's not a Scotch because we can't call it that. Right? But it is made right here. 66% of this mash bill is heavily peated barley from Scotland. The rest of the barley that we get, Applewood smoked, and then a couple distillers, that does come from Root Shoot.
Huh. Let's try this.
Yeah, man. You're going to like this one.
The nose is very different.
Yeah.
The nose is peaty, right? But on the palate, I don't get that.
So I
get like a smoked apple pie.
And that's the idea. So the idea for this one is to introduce people to a peat smoked whiskey without the uppercut of like some of the other brands that, I don't know if we're allowed to say that on here or not, or what the brands are. But the other Isla region scotches that pack a punch.
Yeah, I mean, they can, some of them are just like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. But this is a more approachable. I think if you still want that smokiness, if you're looking for an American It's not a single malt though.
Technically it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's all because single malt's just all barley, right?
Yeah.
So it is a single malt, 100%. But we couldn't call it. Well, now we can call it American single malt because of like a year and a half ago or something.
Would it meet the requirements for American single malt?
I'd
have to look those up.
I'm not 100% sure on that either because we have that peated barley.
Yeah.
Now, there's other ones that we've made that would be the American single malt. Because it's so new, I haven't really spent too much time. I just kind of make it.
What or where are you getting your barrels from? And listeners can see these barrels back here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Independent Stave Corporation. They just had a 60-minute special. I think it was about 3 months ago. You know?
Yeah. I barely anybody watches probably 60 minutes, but every once in a while,
if you're
TV
old
and
enough,
watch
you will,
it. And see it, and they did a whole series on the American whiskey culture.
Yeah, and that's who we get our barrels from.
I mean, a lot of people do and stuff. And you're using 53-gallon barrels here. You don't shy away from that. You guys started with 30 gallons, though, right?
Well, so we use 30 gallons for our agaves. So we still use them.
I saw those sitting over there.
So because a 30 gallon, if you're going to do an añejo and you want to get that rich flavor profile in it, it takes less time because it has to be at least 12 months for an añejo. So in the 30 gallon, after 12 months, it has a lot of flavor into it. So if you want the smaller barrel for that.
There's a photo of me with a full 30-gallon barrel on my shoulder somewhere.
From who? It's okay. You don't have to. It's all right.
Just the crazy stuff that happens in distilleries.
I gotcha. Oh, no, I've been there.
Like sucking out whiskey out of a whiskey thief, you know. And hey, I'm a blessed man. This podcast, this whiskey trip that I'm on has allowed me and my wife, Miss Viv, to take a mini adventure. And we've had an adventure here in Colorado that I absolutely have loved this trip right here. And we've made some great memories. We've got to meet some amazing people for the first time. We got to go back for my third visit with the Millers at Talanoa. And they are they are great people too. Like when I first moved here and started linking up with State 38, I went by their distillery and know the owners obviously through the Distillers Guild, but they're just great people to talk with. I mean, they are just down to earth and they're in love and they love their staff and love whiskey. And I can feel the love from you in whiskey, and the people you've met along the way. And
sorry about the emotional part.
No, man. Hey, that's what this is about. This, that's what I love about my show is that there's no pretentious there. It's just whiskey and a conversation. And it's almost like, we're sitting here writing music. We're just telling your story.
Right.
State 38 has a story. You guys got whiskey here. Do you guys do tours and tastings here?
We do. Absolutely. So, our tasting room is typically, unless we get stretched thin, is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6, Tuesday through Thursday, 4 to 7, Friday and Saturday. And we do tours here. I always like to tell people, it's like, hey, here's one thing to remember. We don't charge for tours. Okay. You come in, you get yourself a drink, you see me, I'll have a drink with you. And then you can walk back here with me with your drink and I'll just show you what I do on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, I absolutely love that stuff. Can you buy your whiskey here at the distillery?
100%. And when I work farmers markets and people's like, oh, well, where can I find you locally? And I said, I never know where it's going to be at in stores because I'm the guy who makes it. So I watch it go out the door. I said, but it's always available 100% here at the market that you're standing at right now, or everything's available at the distillery.
Yeah. Did you work last weekend? You were at a farmer's market.
Yeah, I was. Yes.
Yeah, I remember I was trying to call you, and you guys, the owner was like, "Oh, he's at a farmer's market." And I was like, "Oh my God, he out there? What are you making bread and you making whiskey?"
Well, the thing is, I enjoy doing the markets because, when people are, because I've thought it was interesting. It's like, we're going to sell whiskey at farmers markets because you can't do that in California.
A lot of places you can't do that.
Yeah. And I was like, but when people get to come and talk to the distiller and the owner, and they just get excited about it, and it creates more of that customer relation. And so that's why I like to do those things.
And you get to sit out there and look at the mountains.
Yeah,
In most
look
places,
the mountains, yeah.
you don't. This farmer's market, you don't get to see the mountains.
It depends on which way you're facing.
Oh, okay, well, I guess that would be true. Well, so we've talked about your whiskey. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not a big peated whiskey guy,
And that's okay.
but what I am is a lover of wild whiskeys, and this was more approachable than any other peated whiskey I've had in my life. And I've tasted some other peated whiskeys. I was at a festival and somebody stuck one in my hand, and I was like, I was watching him to make sure he walked away from me so I could set that sucker down, because I was like, this is not for me right here.
Is it because of the peated part that you're not a big fan of?
It tasted like pencil eraser or rubber band or something. I don't know.
We always hear Band-Aid, or antiseptic, which I've
never chewed on a Band-Aid before,
and I've not either. So it was kind of a shock to me to kind of like, okay, that's good. Okay.
I have probably stuck a rubber band in my mouth and chewed on it or pulled on it, and I probably chewed on a eraser when I was a kid in school. So I know what that tastes like. It's like sticking your tongue to that battery, right?
There you go.
You know what that tastes like. So,
well, the fun one that we had that we don't have on this table is that peated whiskey in a the same similar mash bill, but it spent 6 years in a cherry port wine barrel.
See, now that and now I've had some of peated whiskeys that have spent time in like an Oloroso sherry barrel, and then I'm always shocked that, oh man, it like changed the whole complexity of the whiskey and tamed that smokiness down.
Yeah,
this doesn't leave you ever ate at a barbecue place and they've rushed the barbecue and there's too much smoke in it and you're like burping it up the rest of the day?
Well, yeah,
everybody has, right? Yeah. And some peated scotches can do that to me.
Okay.
And some American single malts have done that to me where they've tried to peat it, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't ever do that whiskey again.
Okay.
And hey, I'm gonna always stick to my thing. This was very drinkable to me.
It's okay if you say it's
no,
not good. Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's bad because I don't think it's bad. I'm saying it's the best American single malt peat stuff that I've had. And I've got my palate. I'm a weeded guy, right? And
you're a weeded. Okay.
I am a weeded guy,
okay.
But the whiskey that I liked the most today was the rye. And listeners, that's a lesson learned, and I've talked about this a lot lately, but reset your palate, reset your baseline in life, because as you get older, as you mature, as your palate tastes, your tastes are going to change over a lifetime. My wife, she used to be a coffee drinker, right? And lately she doesn't drink coffee anymore. She's like, I don't like the taste of it. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit that she's like that. But hey, it's, as we change in life, or go through the seasons of life, your palate's going to change. And just remember that to set your baseline.
And so to add to that, if that's okay, I don't want to say go ahead, because that reminds me too much of the military, I guess. But so when we talk to people here, we always, that's why we say, like, we're not the pretentious distillery. If you've had one bourbon, you've had one bourbon. If you've had one rye, you've only had one rye. Don't make that stop you from trying other ones, because I don't like rye. Keep trying it. You might stumble across something that you actually do really enjoy, and then that even in a mental state will change. Like, oh, well, maybe I do like rye. The other ones just I didn't like, and then but that.
No, that's you're spot on, and I love it. We are up against the end of the show, so we're going to do this giveaway.
Okay.
And listeners, this is how we're going to do this giveaway. We got this bottle of bourbon right here, State 38 Distilling, straight bourbon whiskey, and one of their Kinsey glasses right here. That's what this type of glass is called. It's got their logo and stuff on it. But the way you're going to get this, we're going to do this giveaway all week long, as I always do my giveaways, right? You're going to have to put an emoji of a mountain, because we are in the shadows of the mountain right here. Of the foothills or the front range of the Rockies. Very picturesque. The red rocks are right down the road from us and stuff. do that emoji. You're going to tag 4 friends. You're going to follow State 38 Distilling on Instagram. You're going to follow the Whiskey Trip. You're going to like and share it. You must be 21 and you must reside in the United States. So those rules once again for you. An emoji of a mountain. Tag 4 friends. Follow State 38 Distilling or Distillery. And follow the Whiskey Trip. And then like and share, and then must be 21 and reside in the United States. I think that's a pretty fair giveaway. We'll do it all week long. I don't use a randomizer, so if you think I do, I don't. You're going to have to put in the work for this giveaway. Put in for all week long. Make me notice you. That's what I want. I want people to follow State 38 and follow me, and then put in that work and, that give back to me and help lift my podcast up. That's what I need. I'm trying to grow it organically through whiskey for you. I don't think many other podcasters out there are doing the same thing I'm doing.
And that's the best way right there. Now can't you go another way? And I want to just also say thank you to the chief over here for coming out and supporting us as well, and having the passion that he has. And it's always fun getting together and just having whiskey and talking to people about it. So I appreciate the support. So,
Jason, are you on Instagram?
I am not.
You're not? You're not on TikTok? You dancing on TikTok?
That's the profile. OnlyFans? No,
you got
no.
OnlyFans. You sucking whiskey off toes.
My wife does all the social media stuff for me. So,
man, you got to get you some social media. Well, folks, I have social media. You can find me at the Whiskey Trip on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube. I keep saying that. You know I'm on YouTube. Go over there and subscribe if you haven't. If you're listening, driving down the road, I know you might not even watch it. Make yourself a YouTube account. Subscribe real fast and help me out. Help me grow this podcast to something absolutely beautiful. Jason, I appreciate this more than you know. I just want to say thank you as another veteran. Now, listeners, if you listen to me, listen to Matt and Mark from the Bourbon Life and the whole crew over there. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave us that 5-star review and some comments, and then copy those jokers over to my Facebook page, the Whiskey Trip. I would really love that. It raises me up. It lifts my spirits. It makes me want to travel down a road with Miss Viv and do another whiskey trip. So leave those comments, leave a review for me. I'll keep doing these giveaways. If you have a distillery in your backyard and you want them to come on the Whiskey Trip and take a ride with old Big Chief, hit me up at Mike at the Whiskey Trip. I'll reach out to them, or if you know them personally, if you go in their distillery and drink at their tasting room, say, hey, you got to take a ride with this big joker. Let him tell you the story. Let him become the Paul Harvey of whiskey, as I like to say. But once again, a great giveaway, great episode, great distillery. If you're in Golden, Colorado, in the Denver area, come up here, visit them, come to the tasting room, buy some whiskey in with them, support them, support craft distilleries in Colorado and around the United States, around the world. Craft distilleries need your help. But thanks for taking this ride with me. Keep listening. I'm just rambling on here. But this is old Big Chief, and thanks for taking this ride with me, baby.
Thanks to our sponsors, the Heritage Flag Company and Guardian Coins, for making this episode possible. A special thanks to State 38 for sharing their whiskey.